Hi, this is Mindy from Time to Unwind, and today I'm joined by Marina. And we are going to have a lesson in basic spindling. The first thing I do when I'm teaching basic spindling is I tell people to take their fiber, and I really don't care what fiber you use because whatever fiber you start with is what you're going to learn on, and that's going to seem normal to you. So I want you to just pull out one or two threads or maybe three or four. I picked up a few more here so that hopefully against some background you can see that. And I want you to just tug it. See how long it is and tug it. Okay? As long as your fingers are that close together, you're going to be pulling on the same strand. So it's not going anywhere. So if you want to pull this apart, you're going to have to get out to the end. Okay? Now the wonderful thing about this is you can just lay that back on there. Okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to draft. And so we're going to take this and kind of feather it out like this. And I want you to pinch the end. And I often tell people, because this is how I was taught, and of course we all know that how we were taught is the best way, right? No. But this, if you kind of loosely put your fingers across like this, and down here you have a point. This is your drafting triangle. So make it a little drafting triangle. And you remember how long it was. Never pull it out more than half that length. So you start to draw it out, pinch it side to side at the end of the point so that you want to draw out a little bit of both of those colors. It's dead, you don't have to strangle it. Okay? So gently pull down and then come back up here to where your point was on the triangle. Pull down again. Pull down again. And what you're going to do here is get a thin line of it. And I will, for this class, the initial class, I want you to be able to see through it. Okay? So just keep drafting it out. And I do not know if you guys can hear it, but it is storming outside. So you can barely see it. This is thin. It's very hard to see. There, I put it in front of the black. And hers is, you put yours in front of the black now.
Yeah.
So it can be seen. My goal here is to keep both colors coming down. And we're doing this on purpose because I want her to be able to see the number of twists that go in. And by having the two tones coming in together, she should be able to. So make sure you're getting more of that blue down here. And you can just add some down. Just so keep drafting. And once you've got this drafted, and this isn't a large amount, and she's not doing all of it. Once you've got it drafted out nice and thin to start with, this isn't necessarily your final draft, but we're going to make it easy to start with. And once it's drafted, we will want to look at how you can keep it out of your way. Because the last thing you really want is to spin this part instead of that part. And we are all talented and we all do it. So one way to do it is to throw the excess over your shoulder. Another way to do it, and this way works pretty well, is to make what we call is to make it into a bracelet. And wouldn't you know, I just lost that word. But I make a bracelet out of it, a loose bracelet. And then I can slide it on one wrist or the other. It doesn't really matter which one, but it keeps it out of the way. I like to put it down between my fingers. And I am going to turn this one over to you. Okay, can you see through that?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so put it on the other way so that this is coming out.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Through your fingers. Okay? All right. Now you've got a bundle of fiber. And so remember how long it was?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're going to do, there are different ways of doing this. And this is just one way that we're going to start with. But you're going to take that and you're going to draft it out about half what you want. Hold it on both ends of the fiber. Okay? And hang that on it. Bring those two together and spin it. You can spin it clockwise or counterclockwise, but you want to stick to the same direction. And so I usually have people start out spinning it clockwise so that I don't get confused between different students. Just do like that. Okay? I'm going to unspin it for you. To do that, I spin it counterclockwise. And I'm going to let you do that yourself. So remember what to do. Check the distance between. Okay? And then hang it on through the hook. Take both ends in between your fingers and give it a spin. And that's why you want to keep the bulk of it out of your spinning. Okay, hang it. Bring it up. Get a sharp spin. Okay, that is thread. And thread's okay. Give it a good sharp spin and let it spin for a minute. Build up. Now, there are two ways to go about things. You can stop it, which is called parking it. And you can put a lot of spin into it. We'll do it both ways, okay? Put a lot of spin into it and then park it. Your legs are your extra hands.
Okay.
Now, from there, you take this hand up to the point of spin, and with this hand, you draft back and slide up. Slide this finger up. And see that spin going into that? And if you want to draft back again, spin it out. And make it as even as you can. And then slide up. Okay? All right, you always keep your finger at that point. We're doing what we call a short draft or a worsted spinning. Okay? You always want to also keep the tension on it. Now here we've got a spot that's a little thicker, and you can either leave it like that or you can draft it out a little more and even it out. Okay? Now here's the tricky part. What I have people do, it's what I usually do anymore. I don't use a leader to start out. For one thing, often the leader's the wrong size. So I just unspin it a little bit. Remember, we've got that loop there where we started. So you unspin it, get your finger in there. Can you get your finger in there? Gently, and pull it off the hook. And put it on. I like to sharpen the ends of my spindles. And now, usually what I do is wind this around my fingers while keeping tension on. Just around my whole hand. Keep the tension on. Okay, once you're there, come up here and hang on to that loop there and start spinning your spindle. Start wrapping that around. I'll let you do it. You know, basically, this isn't hard. It's relaxing, actually. When you get a little better at it, you can hold it down here and spin faster. Now, you don't want to go clear up to the end of your spot. This thing is a little loose. Probably we could put some tape on it, but we don't have tape here. So let's unspin that just a little bit. Now wrap that around the hook.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. A couple of times won't hurt. Okay, now there you are. You're ready to start again. So always the point of spin, remember. Now you have two things. You can do it. You can put a lot of spin into it and park it, or if you're brave, you can put some spin into it. Grab a hold of it with this hand up here. Draft. Slide up. Don't let it backspin. So give this another spin. Spin it hard. Okay, draft. Slide up. Draft. Slide up. Draft. Slide up. Okay, give it a spin. Draft. Slide up. Draft. Slide up. Draft. The harder you can spin it, the longer it spins, the less frequently you have to wind on. So if you want to stand up, we've got a bed here. You can even stand on that, but
That is true.
and what happens when you break it off? That's a good time to wind it on your hand again. See, now look here. I want to show you something real quick. Okay, take some of the tension off. Okay, if you ply two of those together for a 2-ply, that's what it'll look like. Okay, now wind your hand in. And when you get it to the point where you can, unwind the wrap and then wind it around down here. Nope. Remember this? No.
Oh, wait.
Remember? There you go.
I'm so confused. Wait.
Keep going.
If
If you wrap it around with your hand, you change the amount of spin that you've put in the yarn.
Oh.
So you want to keep your spin. Now, when you've got some left, bring it up here and wind it around again. And if you have a slotted spindle, sometimes it's very easy if you put the slot in the spindle. Okay, the next step. All right, she came undone. Sounds like an old song. She came undone, or something like that.
Kinda.
Okay, fluff that out a bit, okay? What do you do with fluff?
Put it on top of more fluff.
You're right. So unbind
just-
some of this. Bind the end. Oh, you had a break, but you can fix that later.
Well, I found the end either way. So.
Okay, so you're going to put this together. Hold it down here. Draft this back. Pinch that. Spin. Okay, now probably you're going to want to draft that a little more. Now spin. Okay, here you go. Don't let it backspin. Okay, go. Now the reason we start with thin is because thin holds more spin. It'll spin longer if you're spinning a thin yarn. So that gives you more time to work with it. It's not that you can't spin a heavier yarn. Let's thin that up just a little bit. So I'm going to back twist it. So that you can draft it. You got a lot of spin in there. Okay, I can't undo it. Not. So yeah, you're putting a lot of spin in, and you can see where the two tones of thread are going. They may not be able to see it, but you can see it.
Yeah, I'd like have to put it over the black to be able to see it.
So draft it a little narrower than that, because if you have it going too thick, it's going to be hard to keep it spinning. You're already in backspin. So maybe you should wind some on and do a little more drafting. Maybe you want to wind it on here.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going the right way, around this way.
So. I thought so.
It's best to try to make a habit of going in the same direction, whatever direction. So now if you just pick this up and hold your hands apart and just spin it in.
Oh yeah, that works. More thunder.
More thunder. If we looked, it would probably see more lightning.
That
There are two ways that people make that people collected here. One is like they call it a honeycomb, but it's more like a beehive shape. Yeah. And the other is like a cone. And if you're doing it with a bottom whorl spindle, your cone would come up from the bottom. Or you could still do the honeycomb variety. Sure. Let's get this up here. Yeah. And right now, if I were you, I would stop and I would look at this, let go just a bit. Got a lot of tension on there, and that's part of the reason it's hard to draft. So let's loosen some of this up. If you let the tension go up into your yarn source or your wool source, fiber source, you're not going to be able to do a short draft. Short draft keeps it out of the fiber source. Long drafting is different. Okay, let's get this fat one in there. This won't be completely. But see, some of your twist got up into your fiber source, and that happens to everybody. It doesn't matter as much after you've been doing it for a while, but before you've been doing it for a while, it can matter a lot. Now you got a big blob there, but don't worry about it. Yeah, I see there are two ways to take care of that when you go to wind it on. One is you can draft it out and let the twist into it, and the other is that you can let it be a big blob. So here we are. You're back to being skinny again. Okay, so I would wind this. I would
Twist.
just wind it on. When you get a little bit better, you can go a bit bigger, but you'll be better at drafting overall then. And I still say I need to find some tape, but
Yeah, we kind of don't have any.
we're on vacation.
So that doesn't help very much.
So if you move your fingers up here and hold it up here.
Oh, yeah, that would help a little bit.
Draw it out even thinner than that. See, here's a spot here that wants to. So let the spin go up into it. Let's get your bracelet back out of the way. What direction did that go?
I don't know, but I'm going to fix that. Direction is this going?
Clockwise is this way.
Yes, I know that, but
Well, once it gets spinning, sometimes you look at it and say, is this going the right way?
Yeah.
So try to keep it thin and consistent. Once you can get it consistent, it's almost more important. See, now I would stop.
I would wind and draft more.
Yeah, draft that out a little bit more, and it's going to be a little more consistent. Okay, when it gets to the point where it's getting hard for you to manage it, then unwind it and wind on, because we all have our length of arms and legs and things.
Yeah, considering I'm only like 4'9",
Yeah.
that doesn't really help.
No, but there are people with adult heights like that, so
this is true.
Now, if you start with a leader, which some people learn to do, and that's the only way they can do it, and that's fine, make sure your leader is at least as thin as the yarn you want to spin, if not thinner. Okay, you got a spot there, so catch that, stop, get on hold of both ends of it, untwist it a bit. Yeah, get some of the spin out of it. And you can do that by twisting the opposite way with this hand too.
Wait, this.
And if you've got what they call a nep in it, fingernails are useful.
Ah.
Sometimes, I mean, this comes off sheep. Sheep live in fields.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got vegetable matter in there, because sheep are good at getting into that. And it is hard to get out even when you're cleaning the stuff. One of the things you have to decide is how smooth do you want it. If you want neppy yarn, this one I'll give you. See if you can keep it going for a little bit here. The thinner your yarn is, the longer it'll spin. Go. Keep your hands off, Granny. When I was, I shouldn't say when I was.
Yeah.
There used to be a Yahoo group. Let's say it like this. There used to be a Yahoo group called Spindlers. I think it still exists, but I don't think it does much business because everybody's moved on from a lot of the Yahoo groups. But when it used to be really active, we would kind of have, I don't know, they weren't really contests, but they were kind of like bragging rights type things. And people would talk about their longest drops. And we would have people who were sitting on the top of step ladders.
If you wanted me to, I could stay on the bed.
I never went to the top of a step ladder.
That sounds kind of dangerous.
You can imagine me up there, yes.
Yes.
Marina knows how steady I can be.
Sure.
Some people stood on a landing of the stairs and saw how far down they could go, how many landings they could go down. And I did a few of those.
There we go. I fixed it.
Very good. Okay. I think you've got the basics. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am going to say we're going to end this class and you can continue to spin. Okay, so Marina is climbing up on the bed.
In a minute, I'm kind of rolling.
She just came off the bed. She was climbing up on the bed, and she's trying to wind what she did climbing on the bed. So I think that is a really good place to end. And then we're talking about the bunk bed in the other room. So get yourself a spindle. You can do it with a basic wooden wheel. I like the 2-inch wheels or the 3-inch wheels. Get a dowel rod that fits, a 12-inch or a little shorter. I use a pencil sharpener on one end. You can drill a cup hook onto the other, put the toy wheel onto the she dropped everything onto the she put the toy wheel on the dowel rod, the cup hook in the top, use pencil sharpener on the bottom. Sometimes you have to put something, tape or something, to fill the space between the wheel and the dowel rod to make it fit better. So work with it, do it however you want, and make it work for you. And remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you hear from us for the next video, and take some time to unwind. See you later.